thank you all for taking time to be here today on a Sunday. I'm sure it's cold wherever you are. You could be just in your bed, but you've taken the time to participate in this leadership. And on behalf of Pastor Melvin Preston, who is the family life leader, also over singles ministry, he'd like to welcome you. My name is Damian Smith. I'm one of the singles coordinators. Andrea Hicks is an awesome speaker. And I met her, I don't even want to date myself, but I am going to go ahead and date myself, back in 2005, 2006, when I was the singles leader at West End Seventh-day Adventist Church. And we were going up to New York to hang out with Focus Ministries. And we went somewhere up in, oh my God, I don't even know where that was, up in the mountains in North New York. But that's how we started meeting. And we've been knowing each other since then, Facebook friends, Instagram, traveling, hanging out together. So just sit back. Andrea is awesome. I will not say anything, take any more time, so that she can go ahead and deliver what she wants to deliver. Andrea, take it away. You're awesome. And it's good to see you.
Thank you, Damian. Always good to see you. I just love watching your traveling. And this is one of the things I tell people in their single season. Enjoy your life. Go out there and see the world and enjoy. And it's such a big world, so many places to see. A little challenging now with COVID, but there's still some things that you can do. Yes. Exactly. Okay. So we have all of these people on the line. So I would like to see did everyone give us where they were from? Okay, we have Sabrina, we have Lydia, we have Ann, we have A. Millhouse. Okay, so does anybody want to turn your camera on so that we can see them? I would love to see your beautiful faces. I know it's early in the morning, but those of you who can, turn your camera on. I would love to see you. So I am coming from Long Island, New York. I have a ministry. I am in the Atlantic Union Conference and the Northeastern Conference. My ministry is Focus Ministries. It doesn't belong to a conference or a union. It's my own personal ministry. It's called Focus Ministries, Fellowship of Christians Unique and Single. And I have been doing singles ministry for a long time. It's singles ministry focus. We had our 20th reunion last year. I can't believe it. Time has gone by so fast. And I am at a point in my life where I want to train people like you so that you guys can take the torch and move forward. So we have a younger generation doing our singles ministry and bringing some fresh ideas so that we can take it to the next level. Within this virtual season, there's lots of opportunity to reach out to singles ministries. And I will let you be aware of some of the singles ministries that are going on virtually. I just did a program, Why Did You Get Married? Why Did I Get Married? Yesterday, last evening with a ministry, and there were over 200 people on, and sometimes they have 400 or 500 people on from all over the world. So there's lots of things that are going on, but let's get started with what's going on in your church and help you so that you can do your personal singles ministry. So let's just start off by just letting me know if you can see the screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. So what we're going to be doing is learn, lead, succeed, be the leader you want to be. If you have a question that you would like to ask, usually I take the questions at the end of the workshop, but because it's such a smaller crowd, if you have a question during, feel free to just raise your hand. Damian will acknowledge you and I will take your question. Not a problem at all. So just so that you guys know, my ministry is Focus Ministries. Our website is www.focusnyc.org, like focusnewyorkcity.org. So some of you may be asking, what is Asam? So I was the singles ministry coordinator for the North American division. Under the leadership of Dr. Willie Oliver before he went to being the family ministries director of the General Conference. And at that time, under my leadership, we came up with Asam, right? So the First Day churches have something called SAM, Single Adult Ministries, and we didn't reinvent the wheel, we just put an A on front of it. So it's ASAM, Adventist Single Adult Ministries. Back in the day, I would go to conventions where we would meet single adult ministry leaders from all over the United States. And these events would be 3,000 single adult ministry leaders from all over the United States. And the ministry that they were doing was phenomenal. So instead of Adventists doing their own, we would go to that convention, and we would all bring our Christian single adult ministry ideas together. So if you're asking what is ASAM, ASAM is under the North American division. It's called Adventist Single Adult Ministries. It is a group that provides a safe environment for Christian fellowship and encouragement to single adults. It's a spiritual entity in which single adults come together to seek God's purpose for their lives. So each of your individual churches have single adult ministries. They are considered ASAM. My ministry, Focus Ministries, is considered an ASAM, Adventist Single Adult Ministries. A lot of people don't like the word singles ministry, so they use the word ASAM. When I say they don't like, they feel that singles, the words, the verbiage of singles ministry has a undertone that has so many meanings that always aren't positive. So ASAM was developed. So what is ASAM? It's one of the most powerful ministries in the church, and is often relegated to the basement, both in terms of location and value. The North American division of Seventh-day Adventists, ASAM, their mission statement is reaching and empowering single adults, excuse me, reaching and empowering single adults to create Christ-centered safe places for fellowship and nurture and service. Now, talking about my ministry, Fellowship of Christians, Unique and Single, Focus Ministries. This is an ASAM, an Adventist Single Adult Ministry, and the mission is to put Christ as our nucleus and honor him in all of our activities while growing in his grace daily, ministering to our fellow brethren in the community through Bible study, witnessing, and outreach programs to develop and foster Christian relationships with other singles far and near. Now, this is a question I always get. It's such a simple answer. What is a single adult? Someone who's not married. So what are the three types of single adults? Never married, divorcee, or widower. Some people put single parent as also as a type of single adult, but basically a single adult is not married. So if you are engaged, are you single or married? I'm asking a question. Anyone give me the answer. If you are
single.
Yes. Anyone else have an answer?
Single.
Okay. Of course, they are single, right? But so many people that get engaged, they don't want anything to do with singles ministry because they are quote unquote not single anymore. You are single as long as you are. There's a maybe we should mute someone. Okay, so you are single as long as you are not married. You are still considered under the umbrella of being single. If you are engaged, you are still single. You're not available, but you are single. If you are in a relationship, you are still single. You may not be available, but you are still single. And I don't know how it gets twisted, but if I were in a relationship, I would still be involved in singles ministry, because singles ministry is not about hooking up. It's not about getting hooked up. It's about getting fixed up. So there's information in singles ministry that will help you in your relationship to have a better relationship, because it's not about being engaged. It's not about being in a relationship. It's about getting married if you choose to get married, and staying married, right? A lot of us just want to get engaged. We want to get in these relationships, but we want to get in healthy relationships that leads towards marriage that will be healthy, and that will be long lasting, and that will be something that will be approved by God. Okay. So these are all the different types of single adults. We have our single adults, our seasoned single adults, right? Someone like my mother, who will be 79 in 3 weeks. She was with my dad. She knew my dad from 8 years old. They were friends growing up in the church. They got married, and they were married for almost 50 years until my dad passed away. My mom is 78.5 or point whatever, because she'll be 79 years old. And guess what? She is a single adult. You have people who are middle age. They are a single adult for whatever reason. Maybe they're divorced, maybe they're widower, maybe they've been never married. Then we have our young people, right? We have people that are 21, 25, 30, 40. They are considered single adults too. Now, when you are doing your ministry, be mindful of your audience, right? If you are doing a ministry where most of the people who are in your singles ministry are 50 and up, you need to cater to them. If you have a ministry where most of the people are under 40, you need to cater to them. If you have a ministry that is mixed with all different age groups, find ways to minister where everyone is being emotionally fulfilled, right? If they don't feel that they're being ministered to, they're going to go somewhere else. So make sure your ministry is relevant to the audience that you have. Now, motivating the need for singles ministry. Now that we understand what Asam is, we want to address the key. How can we grow our church through Asam? Let me just give you an example. Focus Ministries, we started in 2001. I will tell you that there have been so many people that have come through Asam, through Focus Ministries, and became Christians, became Adventists, gotten married, healed from things that happened in their life that were overwhelming. And that's the motivation and the importance of this ministry. How can you grow it? You can grow it by inviting people to your events that may not normally go to church. Like we had people at our events that wouldn't normally go to church, but they came to a singles event because they knew they would meet like-minded people and that they would be able to network and have a good time. So that's one way that you can grow the church. Now, how does the church grow? First of all, churches need to grow by reaching all types of people, right? Praising God and having favor with all the people, and the Lord added to the church daily such as should be saved. This is Acts 2:47. Now, what are some tools for a successful Asam? Now, your committee should not be all women. It's not women's ministry. Your committee should have men and women. Focus Ministries, when we were really strong, I was the coordinator, I was the founder, I'm the CEO, but I also had Vidal Ford, who was our co-coordinator. He made sure that we always had ministry that was relevant for men. Because if we wanted to we know just because, and people always say, why is it so many women at these singles events and not that many men? Look at your local church. Your local church most likely has more women than men. So what is going to make a difference with singles ministry? Singles ministry is very similar to our church, but you can bring men in by having programming that is relevant to men. Like one of the things that we brought a lot of men in, Damian knew he would come to some of our events, was ski trips. We had a cruise. We had we had the singles event down in Florida where we were near Walt Disney World. Things that men are interested in. And the only way you're going to know what men are interested in by talking to men. So having men on your team helps. So having a committee with both men and women in your local church, men and women who share the pastor along with the spiritual advisor, preferably your pastor. It's good to have your pastor on board with singles ministry, understanding the importance of singles ministry and how we can minister to those who are in this season of their life. Now, what are some more tools? Identifying the single adults in your church. So one of the things that I did was a survey. Back then, back in the day, we had paper that we handed out. Now you can go on SurveyMonkey, you can go on, you can do all different types of ways that you can do surveys, right? So you could do an automatic survey. You can have it where it's a QR code where people can click on it and you ask different questions. But yes, find out, who in your church are widower, who's in your church who are never married, who in your church are divorced, who in your church are interested in singles ministry, and that will help you. And also asking them what they may be interested in. So that would help you to identify. Another tool, come up with creative programming ideas, right? Remember, single adults go where single adults are. Some people, I've learned through my years of doing this, some churches, I know that one of the churches, West End Church, had it at one point. I'm not sure if they still do, but some of the churches have their own single Sabbath school class that's just dedicated to single adults, right? So the only people in that Sabbath school class are single adults. People have Bible study groups. People have book clubs. One of the ways that we started Focus was a book club. We started reading I'm looking for the book now. We started reading, and as soon as I turned my head, I saw it, Preparation for the Final Crisis. That was a book that we read. We had a workbook with it. We met once a week. We talked about the different chapters that we read. We went through the workbook, and that was a way of bringing us together. And it didn't matter if you were male, if you were female, if you were 90, or if you were 25. It was something that brought us all together. So book clubs, potlucks, food always brings people together. Food always brings the men in. So that's another thing. Mixers. Mixers are what we call it mixers, but you may call it a social, where you have social gatherings where you bring people together. I know we are in a COVID season. Be creative. Since COVID, I've had at least 4 mixers where we've had events that we brought people together, and we had a really, really good time. Community outreach events where you're going out into the community and helping. Mission trips. I know 2 people in my personal life that have gotten married. They met their spouses on a mission trip. Conventions, right? Singles conventions, youth conventions, camp meetings, places where large groups of people, GC, session, places where groups of people come together, great places to meet. Cruises, workshops, those are just some of the ways. Now, start, but don't be afraid to join with another ASAM. So let me give you an example, right? One of the things I always say is not about the quantity of your ASAM, it's about the quality of your program. Over 7,000 plus single adults have come through Focus Ministries. Can you believe that? When we started, guess how many people we had? 5. That's all we had. If I had given up, Vidal and I, if we had given up, we would never have seen the magnitude of the 7,000 plus. So what happened is, it was 5 of us. We're doing church, and at my local church was the Mount Sinai Seventh-day Adventist Church. I'm still there in Queens Village, New York. We were in our fellowship hall. We were having our singles ministry. We were reading the book. I just said the book and I lost it that way. But The Final Crisis, we were reading the book, we were doing the workbook. It was only 5 of us. Some of us were getting discouraged, and they were like, there's not enough people. Why don't we have more people? But we ran the programming as if it were 100 people. So what happened is, I started reaching out to other churches. I found out that Kingsborough in Brooklyn, Linden in Queens, some of the other churches, they only had 1 or 2 people in their singles ministry. I said, listen, instead of you dealing with your 1, I'm dealing with my 5, you're dealing with your 1. Why don't we all come together? So we came together, and that's how Focus Ministries was developed. One of the first events that we did together was a retreat. We did a retreat. Damian, he mentioned that earlier. Our retreats were at the Eddy Farm Retreat and Conference Center. It was a Black-owned conference center, upstate New York in the mountains. Most of the people that were coming were living in the city. So it was a way to get out of the city, go into the mountains, connect with God. There's a river flowing there. We did whitewater rafting. We did all kinds of fun things, but that was a way for us to come together. Our first retreat, I believe we had 20 people. And the largest retreat, I think we had almost 300, 200 plus people. So don't let the amount of people in your singles ministry discourage you. What I would suggest is that all of you are on this meeting right now. Why don't you drop your ministry email or your personal email, if you don't have a ministry email, in the chat so that you guys can connect with each other. And if you have ministries that are not as strong, maybe you want to join with some of the other ministries in the area so that you can have a ministry, right? And make sure that you don't get discouraged about the amount of people, because it's not about the amount of people, it's about the quality of your program. Okay. Now, there is also a 10-module ASAM curriculum to help you in developing biblical and practical philosophies. I am certified to do that programming. If this is something that you want, this is something you will get a certification. Talk to Dr. Preston about that, and he can always ask me to come back, or he can have someone else do this ASAM curriculum. Myths of ASAM. We all know the myths, right? And if you don't, I'm going to repeat them. Single adults are lonely. People just think we're all of us are lonely. Single adults, we all want to get married. Single adults have more money than married adults. And ASAM is a dating service. No, it's not a dating service. No, all single adults don't have more money than married adults. And no, all single adults don't want to get married. And no, all single adults are not lonely. Now, there are some that are lonely. There are some that want to get married. There are some that have more money than married adults. And the one thing that ASAM is not is a dating service. And there's nothing wrong with those things. But I just want it to be known that this is not overall where all single adults meet this criteria. Now, one of the things I would say is to think outside the box. Invite all single adults to your events. When I say all, listen, all of us got somebody in our life that's single, right? What about that single uncle of yours? What about that single brother of yours? What about that single neighbor of yours? What about that single young man that is in your church that you may not be interested in, but he's a quality person that maybe someone else is interested in? Bring them, even your aunties, your uncles, your cousins, bring them, because guess what? This is a form of evangelism. And I wrote this way before COVID. And make sure you create events outside of your church walls. One thing about Focus Ministries, we were never attached to a church. We were always a ministry. In the beginning, I had single adult ministries at my church, but once this was developed, all of our events were outside the church walls. We would do events in New York City. We would do cruises. We would do day cruises around Manhattan. We did a cruise to the Caribbean. We would do things outside of the church walls because people always are in church. There's so many things in church. If we get out of that and do events that are Christian events outside of the church walls, maybe we can attract people who don't normally go to church and bring them in. So think outside the box. Now, I mentioned this earlier. We are Focus Ministries as a group that puts Christ as our nucleus while honoring him in all our activities, while growing in his grace daily, ministering to our fellow brethren in the community through Bible study, witnessing and outreach programs, developing and fostering Christian relationships with other singles near and far. It is also a spiritual entity in which single adults come together to seek God's purpose for their lives. And again, like I said earlier, it is not a dating service. It's a ministry it's not about getting hooked up. It's about getting fixed up spiritually and emotionally. Once the spiritual and emotional healing takes place, we have a transformed single adult who has the potential to serve as a lasting and positive influence on whom they interact. I promote healing through therapy. I strongly feel that all of us should be in some form of therapy. In the beginning, when I first went through my divorce, when I was going through all of those things, I needed intense therapy. I was dealing with the therapy through that to find out, why did I make this choice? What can I do to make it better? I could not blame everything on my ex-husband. I had to look at myself and look in the mirror and say, no matter what you think, no matter what you can say about this person, you chose this person. So I had to look deep down in my heart, deep down in myself, and say, what made me make this choice and what can I do to get better? So now with therapy, it's more like maintenance, right? I go just to make sure that I'm okay. And if I'm not okay, I talk about it. And then then I'm given tools that when I'm not okay, how to deal with these things. And if all of us worked on ourselves by healing our past, it would be a better world. And when you work on yourself through God and therapy, everyone around you is going to benefit. Everyone. Now, what else it provides? We provide events and tools to help single adults within North America and abroad. We address the unique needs of single adults. We have so many needs: grief recovery, divorce recovery, single parenting, managing sexual desires, dating again, forgiveness, loneliness, pre-engagement education, and remarital education. I don't believe in premarital counseling. I believe in pre-engagement counseling. I don't think you should go get counseling when you're already engaged. You should get this counseling prior to getting engaged, so that when you get engaged, the next step is marriage. And also, so many people like myself who've been married before, either through divorce or being a widower, you should have remarital education, right? Now, if single adult ministry, ASAM, is done successfully, it has the potential to assist single adults' emotional health and help repair the church family. A lot of our churches are hurting because we have not taken the time to heal. I know all of our single adults don't want to get married, and that's okay. But those who don't want to get married, you still need to heal. Those who want to get married, you definitely need to heal. And if all of us are working on our healing, our church will be in a better space, and we will have more effective ministry and not so much challenges. Now, one of the questions I'd like to ask you are, what are some of the topics you would like to see us discuss in Focus Ministries? As I mentioned, we do grief recovery, divorce recovery, single parenting, managing sexual desires, dating again, forgiveness, loneliness, pre-engagement education, and remarital education. So what are some of the things you would like to see in Focus Ministries, or you would like to see in ASAM? And Damian, if you could write some of these things down, it would be great so we can have them. Anybody, feel free to open up your mic. I would like to know, what are some of the topics you would like to see discussed? Anyone?
I would like to see, like, on budgeting, finance, because a lot of time we have a problem with that in keeping a budget.
That sounds great. That sounds great. And another thing I wanted to mention to you, if you are looking for someone to speak at your upcoming events, let me know. I am available virtually. Right now, I am not doing any in-person long distance, but I have traveled all over the world. I've done ministry in Belgium and other parts of Europe. But right now, with this variant is very high here in New York, so I don't feel comfortable traveling because I don't want to bring anything to you. But if you are doing virtual events, I would love to be a part of your programming. Feel free to reach out to me. I'll give my information at the end of this presentation. Thank you for that. Budgeting is important. If you are interested in budgeting and you're looking for somebody, I know a lot of people, I'm sure Damian does, that would be available to do workshops for you on that, but that is important. Any other topics, anyone, that you would like to see? Okay, so I'm going to finish up, and then I'll take down the presentation. Now that you have a better understanding of ASAM, let's start one in your local church. One of the things that I wanted to talk to you about is, if you want to see a movie on singleness or something that you want to show during your church, if you could copy this in the chat, Damian, for me, it's singlecreek.com, www.singlecreek.com. This is a great movie that was done by a Christian Adventist, and he did this on Christian singles a while back. It's a really good movie, and this is something you may want to show. This may be something you want to show at one of your singles events. Let's see. Now, let's continue to assist our single adults to live their best life. I myself am enjoying my single season. I would love to get married. I am ready. It took me a long time to say this. Damian's probably shocked because I was like, I could care less if I ever got married again. But I'm at a point in my life. God talked to me a lot during this COVID season, and I realized that I am at a point in my life where I am ready to get married. I am healed from my past, and something my father said before he passed. He says, you have such an amazing life and you are so selfish. And I'm like, what do you mean selfish? I'm always giving. I'm always doing things for others. I help my community. I'm doing ministry. He said, no, you're selfish by not sharing that great life you have with someone special. And he said, you say you don't want to get married, but you really need to think about it. Not sharing the life that you have with others is really selfish. And I thought about that during this COVID season. And I was like, you know what? I'm ready. But it has to be somebody that God lets me know who it is. And it has to be somebody who just loves God so much that they're just going to do nothing but enhance my life. So I am ready. But what I would tell you is enjoy your single season and enjoy your life and live your best life. Now, if you want to take a screenshot, this is my information so that you have it. And I am going to stop the share in about 30 seconds, but feel free to take a screenshot of this information and feel free to contact me. Okay. So that's the end of my presentation. I want to open up the floor. Talk to me.
Excuse me, can you put that back?
I sure can.
I'm sorry.
Oh, you never have to apologize. Hold on 1 second, please. And let me get to that slide. And let me share it. Okay. Let me know when you're done and then I'll close it.
Thank you.
You got it?
Wait. Yes, I do. Thank you so much. I just joined your group. I'm so sorry I'm late, but I will watch it again.
No worries, no worries. Well, it's great. The good thing is they're recording this. So I guess they'll give the recording out somehow. You'll figure out how you can get the recording. But let's open up the floor. I want to hear from you. I don't want to do all the talking. What's going on in your church? Are you new to this or is this something you've been doing? What are you doing? I want to hear. And while you're doing that, I'll check out the chat. Talk to me.
Hi, I'm Myron Tia from Columbus, Georgia. I am new to the leadership part of singles ministry. I just became a new singles ministry leader. I've been working with singles ministry in the last term, because at one point it wasn't active, and now it is. Again, I was the assistant in the last term, so I'm kind of familiar with the ins and outs. I used to tell them all the time, because you mentioned if you have an older crowd of singles, you cater to that group. If you have the majority younger, you cater to
your
that
audience.
Mixture, So in the original group, the last term, it was more older adults. And the way the singles ministry leader was trying to do is get it broken up to have her be in charge of the older group and me be in charge of the younger group. But I don't know if it was the pandemic or the leadership or what it was, but it was not many people interested. So it was maybe 3 people in my age bracket that was participating. And I was more of the active one. So I always threatened to quit all the time. So I'm leaving, I'm out. I can't deal with all these old people. But
you learn a lot from them. Oh my gosh, listen.
When they want to be, influential. But they were a bunch of great people. They were funny. I enjoyed being with them.
Most of them have been married for years, and they could tell you so much about marriage.
Some of them have been married.
How they got their man and how they got their woman.
Divorcees. I had widowers. and some that had never been married. So it was a mixture of either way, they were still older. And they was like, no, we need your young perspective. And I was like, look, I'm tired of hanging out with y'all. But I stayed, of course, and then in staying, the baton ended up being passed to me. So it's new in a sense, because now I'm in charge or at the forefront of everything. And within the last, month since it just started, I was able to bring those people who were hesitant about being involved in the last term. I'd have brought them right on in, and they came in. And I don't know if it's because of me being the leader, or it was more so they were ready to be a part. Either way, I'm grateful. But at the same time, I wanted the older group that was active not to fall off, because it's a different leader. So I've been in constant contact, and I've already done my first mixer. I'm about socializing. I can't do Zoom. That bothers me, because I feel like it's a disconnect, because some people need that one-on-one connection. So I've already done my first mixer, and I'm planning more mixers and a trip. So I'm about being out and being involved. And I know we want to be safe at the same time, but I can't sit down. I don't know how to sit down and be still. So I'm about being out in the community. I'm a part of multiple other avenues in the church as well. So I have my ministry being connected with community service and personal ministries and all that other stuff. So we are not just sitting still. We're outside the walls. I'm an advocate of not sitting in the church.
Okay, that's great.
Do it, won't do it.
Understood. Let me ask you a question. How do you pronounce your name?
Myron Tia.
Myron Tia. Well, Myron Tia, it's so nice hearing your story. And if I could give you a little bit of advice, it would be that I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying. I agree with a lot of it, but I will have to say this, and this is where some of us as leaders just need to take a step back. I hear what you're saying, that you want what you like, but just know your audience. Not saying that for you, but all of us on the line. Know your audience. One of the things that I learned with some of the ministries that have been, I've been around for a while. So what I realized with some of the ministries that are out there, a lot of the ministries are being led by leaders who are putting their own thing in it. But the people who they want to come are not interested in those things. They're interested in something else. So just some of the things that you're saying, I love it. I love it. If I was down there, I would want to be involved. But just make sure that the people who are coming, that this is what they want, and that's how you're going to get more people in. So maybe some of the people may not be involved in that, but they would like to come to the ministry, but they're uncomfortable because of COVID. So maybe have something where those who don't have a problem going out and doing stuff for them, and then have something virtual for those who are uncomfortable, so that they're still being ministered to. Just putting outside the box. Hybrid.
I still have split ministries, if that makes sense. I do partial, and I still have a platform where we all communicate, and we're able to do meetings virtually, as far as being able to communicate back and forth on a regular basis. For the most part, all of my people who are involved, we talk almost every day, because we have a platform for that.
Nice.
So I stay in contact, because I want them to know. So you
guys got communication.
Yes, you want people to know that they're not alone, that we didn't forget about them, that we only talk to them once a week because it's Sabbath. I don't want people to feel that way. I want them to know that at any point, if they're going through something, they can reach out to me. We'll pray. We'll even get everybody on the line so we can pray.
Excellent. Well, listen, you are being intentional. I love what you're doing. And if you need any advice or help or anything, I gave my contact information. Feel free to reach out. So I would like to hear from, and keep doing what you're doing, girl. I would like to hear from some other of you. What things are you guys doing? Are you new? Is this your first time? Have you been doing this? How's your ministry going?
Well, I'll start. I'm new, and I just been recently voted in But I was an associate like a couple of years ago, and we were off to a great start. But however, it just kind of faded away. So now I think what we're struggling with at Maranatha is just trying to bring people together.
Oh,
It's
Maranatha.
basically,
Joy is
yes,
there. Do you know Joy? Do you know Joy Rivers?
I don't,
Okay. Yeah,
but
that's a
I'm
real
gonna
good
write her
friend.
name down.
She's like a little
Uh,
sister to me.
oh, okay. Just trying. I'm at that point now, like trying to reach out to people who are not really involved. I know a lot of people. I grew up in that church, so it's easy to reach out to the people I know. I'm just trying to, I want to put it out there where I get different age groups. And I kind of like the idea that the young lady had, just kind of doing a little split, maybe
Yes.
having it from like a younger generation to maybe 40 and then the 40 and up. And just kind of splitting it to kind of start out and then maybe bridging, everybody back together for like huge events. I thought you put out some phenomenal ideas like community outreach and, the movie. And one of the things that I really wanted to focus on first is like the therapy. So many people are going through so many different emotions during this COVID. Like
Loss of
even
death, and you can't bury your family
yes,
member. It's overwhelming.
I have experienced it all. And now I'm a caretaker. And I think that would be another good one to add on because
Exactly.
I
Let me
take
write
care
that
of my
down.
father
Right.
who has leukemia. And like, I haven't even thought about a dating life. Like, how do you factor that in? So, right now I'm just in that early phase of trying to start it out. And this has just been really great. I took some screenshots because I want to utilize some of those things and I will be reaching out to you and I want to join your focus ministry because I really want us to really get involved in the community because it's really not about us as Christians. It's not about us. It's not about being single. It's about bringing people into the ministry and just being a good representation of Christ. So that's where I am with, Maranatha. So thank you for all of this.
I love it. I love it. I love it. You know what? I'm going to put this in here. This is a Facebook group. This young man his name is Pastor Ricardo. Oh goodness, how could I forget his name that quick? Ricardo Carr. He started this ministry within COVID. It's all virtual. He's in Florida. Last I remember, I believe he's still there. He's in Florida, and these are singles people from all over the world. Last night there were people from the UK, people from all over, and there's lots of people that come on that call. Lots of people that come, and they have very, like with me with Focus. I'm at a point now where I don't really have a lot of planned events. If you invite me, I come to your event. But this gentleman, he does something every week. Every single Saturday, they have programming. And last night, I was a part of their Why Did I Get Married? I was one of the panelists. I was someone who was divorced. And the other two panelists were married couples. One married couple was 6 years. The other married couple was 20 plus years. And their stories and the things that they told men and women what to look out for, it was absolutely phenomenal. It was good. So this is something you can reach out to. He also has a WhatsApp group, but you can always reach out to him and find out how to get involved in that ministry. So Sabrina, how can we be of support?
I will definitely, I think that I like the idea of everybody coming together because just like he said, in my church, it's a lot of females that are single. I mean, we probably have like one or two males that is willing to participate from past. And I like the fact that we can join with another ministry that's kind of like already in place because then it'll give them some encouragement because when people see small numbers, they're like, well, I don't really want to do that. I've reached out to a couple of people and they're like, they're not interested. So I think that, us joining your focus ministry and maybe just linking up with some of the other, I am affiliated with West End Singles Ministry. I joined and I love theirs. Um, just I want to just maybe get a little mentoring because with me being new as a leader, I don't, just like you said, it's not about me and what I want. I want to be able to meet their needs. So I don't know, do you guys like meet regularly, to
You're talking about
we're-
Focus?
yes.
Honestly, I have to be honest with you. With Focus Ministries, I haven't done anything in a while. I did probably 4 events during this COVID season. That's it. 4 events with 4 events with Focus, but with Singles Ministry, I wouldn't say I'm doing something every month, but I'm all over the place. I did something for Mount Sinai. I just put in here the 5 Love Languages, a church in New Jersey. I did a 6 weeks, they call them semesters. So I did a 6-week semester where every Friday night at 7 o'clock we met and we did the 5 Love Languages for singles. I've been doing quite a bit of stuff with this group, the Love Above Everything ministry and other ministries. So actually I'm at a point where if you invite me, I will come, I will speak.
Okay.
I will support your event by putting it on because we have a following, putting it on our Facebook or our social media pages. But actually doing events with Focus, I really haven't been doing that many, but I go to events that people do. So what I would suggest is you don't want to have your church in limbo, right? Do something in your church, right? Whether it's a book club, maybe you could start off with the 5 Love Languages. That's an excellent book that helps you to understand who you are. Not just the 5 Love Languages, but the 5 Love Languages Singles Edition. It is excellent. People are so caught up with the writers have to be Adventist, this, that, and the other. Listen, Adventists aren't the only ones that, I've been in this thing since conception, right? Adventists aren't the only ones that do things good, right? It has to be Christian based, right? So this is a book that's Christian based. It doesn't have anything that is against our doctrine. It's Christian based, of coming directly from Christ. This guy, he wrote this book. It's excellent. It's an excellent book. It teaches you how to unravel a lot of stuff in your life. And I think it's great for singles. So this is a book that you wouldn't read it in one session. It's a lot of chapters, so you can read it, and has different sections of it. There is a PDF that has like a workbook that you can ask questions as the leader of this. I've done this book. I can always help with that as long as it fits within my schedule. But this is something that you could start. You need to have something in your local church, and then let your local people know that, you know what, here's another singles ministry that's doing something. Maybe you would be interested in it. If you're interested in it, this is the link to get to their events.
Okay.
So, that's one way of doing it. Okay,
I love that.
I want to hear from someone else. Who else, guys? Let's talk. Unmute yourself.
Hi, this is Lydia Moore from Augusta, Georgia.
Hi, Lydia.
Hey, I've been with Singer Ministry for a long time. I remember when we used to go to the Singer retreats. Well, I missed those because we haven't had one of those in a while.
Right.
Or we didn't know anything about it. And I know they've gone on several cruises, but for some reason, we didn't get the information to go. Okay. So most of the time I've been the assistant. So now I am the leader of it.
Okay.
We have met, let's see, 2 weeks ago, we met and kind of got our purpose out and the mission. But I'm gonna go back and tweet our mission since I'm looking at what you guys put in this. It's awesome. I like the way you summed it up. I've never heard about Asam. I never heard about that. And that's why I want to make sure in our next business meeting that I will talk about this as well. And I love the Facebook with, so he has the 5 Love Languages. He's the author of that also.
The 5 Love Languages author is Gary Chapman. As I mentioned, he is not Adventist, but he is a Christian author, and it's an excellent, excellent book.
Okay, so the end of this month, we are having a game night. So
nice.
The way our meeting is that every other month, we'll either do game night or we'll do some type of outreach or some type of meeting and greeting every other month.
Okay.
Let's see. So in this month, we do game night on the 26th. March the 26th, we will go out and pass out. We have a shoebox ministry that we just started. So we ask our friends, and we got a lot of singles, and we ask different ministries of the church to also help us to fill a shoebox with things for the homeless. And we will go out and pass out those boxes, not a box, but the plastic ones. We felt that the boxes, they'll get all messed up.
Community outreach.
Yes, this is our community outreach for this time. And it's, we will go out to the homeless and pass those out.
Okay.
Not just
I love it.
Doing it, but we, in the other clusters of the family life ministry, we invite those. And in my group, I have mostly older people. For some reason, the younger ones, like 20-something, they didn't want to connect with the older the people. They said the singer ministry and the senior ministry. I have a lot of the senior ministry. It's also a part of the singer ministry. And they're the ones with either divorced, single, never been married, that group too. So I'm gonna try to figure out a way to get some of the younger people involved, like maybe have something that they interested in, and then invite the older crowd as well.
So if I could give you a suggestion, is on your team, your executive team, try to add a young person on your executive team, someone who's under, I don't even know if I would say under 40, someone who's under 30, definitely under 40, and have them on your executive team. This is the thing. A lot of our young adults, our Adventists, our Christian Adventist young adults, they're professional.
Yes.
They got no time for unprofessional, unorganized ministry. If you are going to do ministry and you want these young people under 40, your stuff has to be on point. One thing about me, I'm African American. I'm in a community where I'm in New York City. I live in Long Island, but my church is in New York City. So a lot of times when I have an event, it will be in New York City, right? So a lot of people that will come are Caribbean American, right? So sometimes Black people are late, but sometimes they may be a little bit more late, right? So what I told them is, I said, listen, it don't matter who you are, right? It don't matter if you're African American, you're Caribbean American, you're white, you're Latino, whatever. When that plane comes and they tell you the plane is going to leave at X, Y, and Z, they're not going to look and say, you know what? That's an African American. We're going to give them 10 minutes. And they're going to say, oh, that's a Caribbean American. We're going to give them 20 minutes. Oh, that's a Latino. We're going to give them a half hour. That plane's going to leave the time it's going to leave. So I'm coming from New Jersey. I don't know nothing about this New York stuff, how they do stuff. It's just like, look, this is the way we roll. When my program, if we say we're going to start at 10 o'clock, 9:55, I'm on. 9:59, I'm ready. And at 10 o'clock, I'm executing. And guess what? Half the people wouldn't be there because at this time it was in person. So I would be talking to 4 people. So about half hour in, it would be 20 people. About 45 minutes in, it would be 80 people. About an hour in, it would be 100 people. And the people would be like, oh my gosh, I missed it. Can you go back? Sorry, it's over. God bless you. Have a good time. We'll see you next time. They were ticked off because you're supposed to sit there and wait for the people to come online. I start on time. That's just the way my father taught me from a young girl that time is valuable. I know my time is valuable, so I assume other people feel that way, and that time is temperance. So once you set a precedence, people will know. But guess what? When Focus Ministry does an event, they know if they don't get there, it's going to be done whenever they get there, or we ain't starting over. So once you set a precedence, it will make a difference. When you're dealing with young adults that are professional, that are used to going to conventions and stuff with their jobs and different activities that they're involved with, it has to be on point. So one of the things I always say is make sure your ministry is intentional, where it's something that is well thought out, that is relevant, and that is something that people would you want to go to, right? So that's one of the things. And by having a young person on your team will help. And also have somebody over 50 or over 60 on your team. What's happening is when you bridge them together, it can work. But one of the challenges is the young people want to talk about their career, their 401k. The older people want to talk about, I'm retired. So what do I do next? Like, I want to just lay up and just enjoy my life. I want to talk about my grandkids. So guess what? All of it can mix together, but have something that's relevant for all of them. And I say book clubs. Okay. Book clubs are good things to bring everyone together. It doesn't matter your age group. And the young people need to realize that having the more seasoned single adults in the ministry, they're going to grow. They're going to grow because they're going to learn that, you know what? You may look at this lady and see she's 80 years old, but she will tell you when she was younger, she was a hot mess, right? But she will tell you, but listen, I want you to learn from what I've been through so you don't have to go there, right? And then some of the older people can learn from the younger people by saying, you know what? We're in a virtual world. Maybe they need to learn how to get on Zoom. Maybe they need to learn how to text message their grandkids. Yes. There's all kinds of reasons why we can be bridged together. But sometimes maybe we do need to separate. But a book club, that's just one example, is something that we can bring everybody together. But you're not going to know what you're not going to know what young people want unless young people are on your team. And as I mentioned, Damian will tell you all day long, put a man on your team.
Oh, yeah.
Not just any old man, but a man who has a passion for singles ministry. And I will tell you something that's going to rock your world. I don't care if they're married or single. If they're married and they have a passion for singles ministry, I'd rather have a married person on the team than a single adult just because they're single and they ain't helping. Just because someone is married doesn't mean they can't get. The person who was our spiritual advisor, he was married. He was a divorcee. He was a pastor who was divorced. His wife walked away from him in the middle of his ministry, and he had to deal with all of that. He was single for 5 years. He had all these sexual urges. How did he deal with that? How was he able to find the love of his life and get married? That man was relevant. We understood his story. He was able to talk to us. If you are married, if I ever got married, I still would be involved in singles ministry. Because guess what? If my husband died, I'm single again. This thing is such a revolving wheel. It's not like when you get married and you're just married and you're married, you're living your life of Riley, right? Things can change so fast. Singles ministry is relevant. It will be in existence until God comes. Sorry, I think I said too much.
That was awesome. That was awesome.
Yes.
Okay,
Awesome.
Anybody else? Thank you. So Lydia, did you get what you needed?
Yes, I got it.
You got it?
And prior to the epidemic, we were joining in with Berean. Let's see, what are now? I can't remember her last name now. Berean and also Columbia Church. So we were going to join in and do some things with them.
Still, it's not too late. Let me just explain something. Don't let this virtual world rock your world. This is, to me, the best thing that has ever happened. You know why? It's bringing people together. Listen, my neighbors, they know who Seventh-day Adventists are because they hear me screaming up in here watching TV, right? So then they're like in the summer, I have the windows open. They're like, oh, so what you going in there? I said, oh, I'm at, it's Sabbath. I'm at church. Oh, send us the link. You know how many of my neighbors are watching our church service every week? Come on. So this is bringing more people into your ministry because you're able to do it virtual. Some people can't come out because they are immunocompromised. Some people can't come out because, like Sabrina, she's taking care of her loved one. So having virtual is awesome. Those who want to go out and enjoy themselves, do that too. Have some type of hybrid system where everybody's being ministered to.
Okay, one last thing. Can you also tell us like your schedule if you're doing virtual somewhere else? Maybe we want to connect our group to watch it as well.
So what I want you to do is go to the website, look in the chat, www.focusnyc.org.
Okay.
Look at the top of the website. You see our Instagram, our Facebook.
Okay.
Just click on those links. It will take you to our pages. Like the pages, follow the pages. You'll see everything that's going on.
Okay, super. Thank you.
I advertise. I wouldn't say everybody. I advertise most people's events. If I know your event is bootleg because somebody told me I went and you know what, the event didn't even happen. They got the wrong date on the flyer.
Oh.
You won't see me. You won't see me advertising that again. So my events, the events I try to advertise are events that I know that the person who's in charge is going to have the event. It's going to be quality event, that kind of thing.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay. I hope I didn't say too much on that.
Oh, that was awesome. I took a picture of it so I can remember that. Write it down when I get through.
But you guys understand what I'm saying, right? You don't be advertising and you got 100 people come to something that's not going to happen. The people are already kind of flaky with the singles ministry already. So that's going to be like, you know what? I'm not going to nothing else. Okay, anybody else?
Hi, I'm Nadina. I'm actually
Nadina.
I love this. This forum right here is wonderful. I'm community service. I was on it and I just needed to make sure I didn't miss this one. So I'm glad I joined you, Ms. Hicks.
I'm glad to have you too. I love your name.
Thank you. Thank you. So I was once the singles ministry leader, probably 6 or 7 years ago in our small town of Whiteville, North Carolina. Praise Tabernacle 78 Adventist Church here in North Carolina. It's really small, maybe 50, mainly one family, and then a few outsiders. It was very taboo because the older ones would say, I'm not trying to get married, even though they were single, maybe divorced or whatever. They already have their grandkids and I'm married to Jesus, you know, and then the young ones are like, I'm not trying to get, it was just really hard to get them together because they thought the ministry was like a hookup, trying to get married type of thing. So we worked around that. I really had a passion for singles because it's such a broad environment, the elderly, and now Sabrina is taking care of her dad. I take care of, I lost my mom 2 years ago, and I take care of my dad now. And I find that there's so many lacks in the system, like for care and for the food. And we're very rural here, so you know the departments just don't have it. So the area that I would be mainly interested in helping are our seniors, and because they're in need, they're so used to, I could just think of 3 right off the bat. They were married and they've lost their spouse, and a lot of them didn't know how to do anything because the spouse did everything.
Right.
And you know, companionship and just being there and being helpful and helping out the single senior. And then of course, when I started, I was almost 10 years younger. So, and I've never been married. I'm at 58 and I have a daughter. So I was thinking the young mothers, you know, that your unwed mothers that are out there that just need help and they know and just don't know, you know, and then like Maritina, just like she mentioned, time to get out and about and leave everything. You know, you have an age group that wants to mingle and they want to, you know, just do that. I don't care what it is. Go to the park, you know, just get together and
just be outside.
Just be out. And it doesn't mean you're trying to hook up. But what was so hard is that being in the small church, it was hard to disconnect singles. Just being singles ministry, they're doing everything that every other ministry is doing, you know, but they couldn't, the single part is what made them not want to, you know, it was just hard. It was hard. So I look at community service being everything.
Yes.
I mean, community service is everything. And we have a small church, but we have all these ministries. And so it's really hard in my mind. How can all these ministries work when it's being broken up with just a little bit of people? when community service can reach all the ministries.
Mhm.
So I said that to say this. I'm not the leader of singles ministry, but I love the fact of singles having a ministry to do a lot of the work for Christ in our community. So I just wanted to join in to get some tidbits from this workshop. And I'm glad I have a few websites there and your information, Ms. Hicks, because through community service, I can also do singles ministry.
Amen. Amen. There is no singles ministry without community. It has to be, because community is a part of who we are. Like I said, it has to be outside the box. We're just looking at the local church, what we're doing inside of our church, but it's about bringing people in. Listen, I have so many stories, but one of the things is that, you know, we all have single people in our life, right? I have a single brother. I have my mom. At the time, my sister was single, and she was one of those young people who was frustrated with singles ministry because she was 25 years old, and she said there's nobody there but a bunch of old people, and she's just not interested. So I knew she loved Walt Disney World and Mickey Mouse and all of that. So I was the singles coordinator for North America Division, and I invited her to come down to the convention, 2007. I said, Jennifer, you should come with me. It's going to be a lot of fun. Oh, it's a bunch of old people. Okay, I'll go. So she came, and guess who she met there? Her husband. And they've been married since 2009. They met 2007 at the singles convention, and they're married all these years. And he's 12 years older than her, but she's 17 years younger than me, 15 years younger than my brother, and 40 years younger than my mother. So she loved being around old people. So there you go. So who was she going to marry? Someone older than her. And the thing about it is how they connected was that we had this networking round. We didn't call it speed dating. We called it speed networking. And it didn't matter if it was a woman in front of you or if it was a man in front of you. It was a way for you to meet people because it was over 700 singles. And you may have came by yourself. This gave you an opportunity to meet at least 20 people, right? And when Trevor was across from Jennifer, he asked her questions. But when she said New Jersey, he had his business cards. He was ready. He went down there looking for a wife. He's told us that. He talked to Jennifer. He asked her where she was from. When she said New Jersey, he put his card, he's putting his card back in his pocket because he's not looking for a long distance relationship. Then my sister said, did you say you live in Michigan? And my sister is shy, nothing like me. And he said, yes. He said, she said, well, I'm in grad school at Andrews University and I'm going back in September. He said, Andrews? I graduated from Andrews. Bam, 2-hour talk. And it's been history from there. But if we didn't have this singles convention, they wouldn't have met. Now for myself, I'm not married, right? But I have met so many quality singles through singles ministry. Damian is one of them. I have girlfriends who are in New York. I moved to New York by myself. I didn't know anybody, right? I moved to New York. I didn't know anybody. I moved here for a job. I have a huge network. Guess where I met these people? Focus Ministries. And we travel all over the world. We do all these things together. We enjoy. This is probably why most of us ain't married. We doing so much fun. We having so much fun amongst ourselves. It's like, you know, it's okay for now. This is the season where we're in. But I met quality women through singles ministry where we can do things together because we're like-minded. We're similar in a lot of different things, and we bring things together and we're growing together. So people look at it and they're like, oh, well, I'm not meeting no man, or the men are, I'm not meeting no women. You can meet quality people that could be friends for life. But I'm not negating those who want to get married. If that's what you want, it's okay. And guess what? Nobody should make you feeling bad about that. But just know that's not what this ministry is. But this ministry can be a venue to bring like-minded people together so that they can meet. So what I've been doing is I tell all the women, bring a man that's in your life, that's quality, that's single. And I tell the men, bring a man in your life that's quality, that's single, and that will help you to have better numbers. May not be equal, but more men, at least kind of sort of more closer than having 100 women and 5 men. If everyone brings a quality guy with them, then you can have more men at your events. And that will give people an opportunity to meet people, right?
I have a question.
Sure.
Now, what would you suggest for smaller rural areas or like Mauritania? Her meet and greet wouldn't go very well here because the numbers within are small, but
Right.
it was very hard to go outside of the church. And I just want to say this. When I was singles ministry leader 5 years ago, we did a retreat. We did a retreat down in Myrtle Beach, and we did have I wanted it to be a forum, but because of the forum, we had the pastor was there, and he brought his son, but the forum leaders were a married couple.
Mm-hmm.
And the married couple, I invited non-Adventists that agreed to come as well, but I'll never do it that way again because the forum didn't go the way that I wanted it to go. It was more like shooting Adventism down.
Okay, I hear you. I hear you. I hear you. And that's one of the things that I did at my events. I didn't talk about doctrine. I didn't talk about being a Seventh-day Adventist. I talked about being a Christian single adult. If you stick to, if you can unmute yourself, Miss Nadine. If you stick to single adult issues, then you're talking about single adult issues, Christian single adult issues. So it doesn't matter if you're a Seventh-day Adventist or if you're first day, right? If you are a Christian single adult, you're saving yourself towards marriage, right? That's the same all around, right? So
Yes.
even though they're married, that's fine, as long as they have a passion for singles ministry. I don't have an issue with them being married. My issue is that this is not church. We're not doing a sermon. We're not talking about the 27 doctrines. We're talking about right now, I need to deal like, okay, let me give an example of this gentleman. This older white gentleman came to one of the singles events because I got invited to speak all over. It doesn't matter if it's a white conference, a Latino conference, a black conference. I went, anybody that's single that needed me to come, I would come. So one of the events I went to was a smaller retreat. And it was this young man, I wouldn't say young man, but it was this man that came. His wife had just died 2 weeks. He'd been married since he was 17 years old. And so it was a workshop on sexual urges and how to handle them. He stood up and he said, listen, he said, my wife just died 2 weeks ago. I need sex. What can I do? That's why I came to this retreat. Who can I get married to so that I can have sex? So Miss Nadine, what I'm saying is that people want to deal with real life issues. Okay. That was a real life issue for him. It's not like he's telling you he wants to have sex and he's not married. He's telling you he needs to get married quick because he can't contain this. He said, you don't understand. Me and my wife had sex all the time. The woman died. What am I supposed to do? I need help. I didn't know what to tell this man. So I said, God, give me something quick. So I just said, is there anyone in the room who is a widower? 4 people raised their hand, 2 women and 2 men. I said, would you mind taking this young man outside? I called him a young man. He was probably about in his 70s. I said, could you take this young man outside and could you guys talk to him about your experience, because you understand it more than anyone else in this room, and maybe you can walk him through the process. About a half hour later, this man comes in. I'm 6 feet tall. He's about 5'3". He came and grabbed me, picked me up and said, thank you, thank you. Oh my gosh, they understood. They gave me some tools, and guess what? I think I'm going to be all right, but I still need to get married. So I said, God's going to send you what you need. Let's just get you through this process. But I strongly feel when we have these events, we have to talk about relevant stuff that real people are dealing with. And right now, the 27 doctrines aren't going to help me when I'm about to burst. And if I see something walking, I'm going to jump on it. You know what I mean? I need help now. So Miss Nadine, I hear you. So one of the things I would suggest is that next time you do an event, vet the people who are coming, give them the subject matter you want spoken about, and go from there. And as far as your small group, don't stress yourself. Over 7,000 plus people came through Focus. We started off with 5. Don't worry about it. But we ran it as if 7,000 were there. Just
That's
have,
right.
yeah, this is what I say. It's not about the quantity, it's about the quality of your programming. So one of the things you could do is a book club, 5 love languages for singles. Everybody, all 5 of you get together. You talk about it. If you send me an email, I will send you the PDF. There's a leadership PDF. It shows you when you do it, what questions to ask, and you walk each other. That could take you 6-7 weeks. That book, I don't know how many chapters it is, 10 chapters. You could do 2 chapters a week, 1 chapter a week, but that's something that you can start with. Anybody
I have
else?
another question.
Yes.
Just one more. Now, I've read the 5 love languages, so many times. I haven't there, but I didn't know about the singles edition.
Yes, there's one just for singles. There's one for teenagers. There's all kinds, but the one for singles is relevant for singles. And there's an app that you can get. Go to the app. I sent you let me see if I can find the app. You go to the app and before you do the workshop, the quizzes, before you do the workshop, love language quiz. Okay, so I'll just throw this in here. What I would do is I would do this quiz before your meeting. You would do it before your meeting, and then you would know what your love language is, or your love languages is. And you can do where you can go to the app store and you can download the app.
Now, does everyone need to get the book though?
Yes.
Okay.
So what some of the churches do is the churches are buying the books for the people. And because we're in COVID, maybe you're not able to buy the books. You can always get it on Amazon, and they can read it digitally on their devices.
Now, what can I ask? Would you? Okay, let's say, because that's a great way to start out. The book club.
And it don't matter the age group or nothing. Don't matter the numbers. You can have 100 people. You can have 5.
So would this be a good idea to, let's say the church provides the first 10 books?
Of course.
Or do you mean everybody's book? All right, we're real small.
What we did is we have, the church that I just did this with, they had a budget. So their budget was for 30 books. So what they did is they only end up having about 15 people from their church. Because they asked me to speak, I put it out there, and another 15 people came on. So they ended up having to mail these books to the people, but they did it through Amazon where it was free shipping. But so have the church provide the books. Like you said, if it's only 5 people, have them provide the book for 5 people. If your church is really tight with the budget, the people can buy the books. The books aren't that expensive.
Okay.
Yeah, the people can buy the books on their own, or the church can provide some books. They should provide the leader with a book and maybe provide another book. And the first persons that sign up gets a free book.
Great idea. Thank you.
I love that.
I'm sending this out now to my group to see what their thoughts are.
Boy, you guys are good. I want want to hear from Ann A. Millhouse and Lisa Holland and Patricia. Let me know. What's your thoughts, hon?
Hi, I'm Ann. I am new.
Hi,
in
Ann.
Hi, leadership. So I'm learning a lot because, like I said, I'm new. I really don't know the gist of it. So I'm getting some idea. I think the book club would be a great idea because my church is small, real small, and it's not that many single people. And the ones, it's more older than younger, and it's more single women than men.
That's okay.
So I was thinking
How
of
do you, let me ask you a question if you don't mind me interrupting. How do you know it's not many single people? A guess or you did a survey?
to my in my church.
Uh-huh.
No, not by guess. It's small. I know the members.
Okay, there you go. Okay.
Right.
So you have a lot of married couples.
Right.
Okay. There's somebody single in there. Singles are everywhere.
True.
When we did our research for Adventism, Christian Adventism, single adults are 50% of the Adventist church. And most of them are from divorce. 50% worldwide. Definitely in North America. That's sad. Not because they're never married. Mostly it's because of divorce.
Right. And I think that's the statistics in my church.
Yeah, so we got to make better choices.
That's true.
Yep. So single, and so I don't know if you were here for the earlier part, but single adult is anyone who's never married, divorced, or widower. Bottom line is, if you're not married, you are a single adult. Even if you're engaged, you're still single adult. Even if you're in a relationship, you're still a single adult. And it gets so twisted. When I ask that question at events, I could be in an event with 400 people. And I was in Jamaica, 1,500 people. And I asked them, if you are engaged, are you a single adult? I got so many answers. It was like, what? I'm like, you are single. You are not married until you say I do. People don't get it. They're engaged. They got that ring. They ain't single no more. You're not available, but you are still a single adult. Single adult is not a disease. It's okay to say you're single. Not a bad thing. I'm proud to be single. I got no problem with it.
I heard that. It's funny.
That's the season I'm in at this time. This is not forever. This is where I am at this moment. So my job is to enjoy the moments that are given to me. That's what my God tells me in Ecclesiastes. Live your best life.
It's a mentality though.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden they think when they get married, it's going to be all fixed up. Miss Ann, I am interrupting you. Go ahead.
No, I was getting ready to say, it's funny that you should ask that question. If you're engaged, are you still single? I posted that question on Facebook last week. And it's funny how most people are like, no, you're not single. I'm like, yes, you are still single if you are engaged.
What dictionary they're reading?
It was funny at the comments that was being made. It's like, people just don't get it. So I said to them, so if you are single, if you're engaged, you're still single. I say, so what if you and the person don't get married? Aren't you still single?
What did they say?
They go, yeah, but try to tell that person that you're giving the ring to. I said, regardless, you are still single.
Yeah, but what do you mean tell that person? That person knows that you're single. If they don't want you to be single anymore and they need to marry you. True. What does that mean? What does that person think? Well, they can think whatever they want. If you feel that strong about it, then you need to be more than proposing. Right.
It's funny. But yeah, like I said, I'm still learning. So this is going to be an adventure for me.
Yeah, it's a challenge. But like I said, if you guys could drop your emails in the chat, that would be a way for you guys to keep in touch. There's a way for you to save the chat. If you go to do you guys know how to do that? Okay, so if you go to the chat, you see all the way over to the right-hand side where you type, there's a dot, dot, dot. There's 3 little dots. Click on that dot. Click Save Chat. After you save the chat, on the top, you see Show Folder. It'll show you where it's saved, and all of the items in the chat will be saved. You can do it now. You can do it at the end of the meeting, whichever way you want. But that's a way for you to save the information in the chat. Not sure if you knew that, but I figured I'd just put that out there.